Do you have monitoring spirits?
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
Oh, is that old friend from like 2 years ago who low-key ghosted you still watching your Instagram stories? Maybe you don't even have beef, alright, but she won't text you back, won't follow through, and still somehow never misses a TikTok post? Yeah, I get it. Now, online, people like to call these social media lurkers with familiar faces monitoring spirits. And honestly, I do understand why. But I don't think it always means what people think it means. I don't believe everyone who watches you, keeps tabs on you, or stays really close online is wishing bad on you or conspiring against you in some weird way. But let's keep it 100, okay? Let's keep it a bean. Sometimes it does feel weird and a little invasive. And for me, it's not weird because of their presence online. It's weird because of their absence in my real life. And I tend to think of that as false or passive proximity. Let's talk about it. Okay, so monitoring spirit. What really is that? What really is that? Now, I know that there is a spiritual definition of this, but I'm not even going to get into that. Okay, we not going over there. I'm going to get into the, trendy TikTok meaning. And if you think about what would make someone want to call someone else a monitoring spirit, there are a few scenarios that come to mind for me. Number one, either your current friend, a friend that you have now, is watching all of your stuff on social media and they don't engage with anything. That's odd. That's weird. Two, someone you know that hates you or has bullied you constantly watches you online and gossips about you, which is literally insane. But there's also a third scenario that I really want to talk about in this video. The scenario where you had a friendship. There's some history there, but the connection in real life has become non-existent. When someone you actually know wants to maintain a sense of closeness with you, but only through online access. These are the people that are not showing up, they're not following up, they're not following through, they're not participating in a reciprocal way, but they're still lingering. Okay, they're still lingering for some reason, and it's getting weird. Liking your pictures, watching your story, reacting, reappearing, popping up, even though they never responded to that text you sent them 2 weeks ago. And at some point it's like, okay, so why are you still here? Now, don't get me wrong, I fully understand what social media is for. And you're probably mutuals with all kinds of people online, most of which you probably don't even know. People you went to elementary school with, somebody that you met at summer camp in 2005. Maybe you're mutuals with somebody that you never even met, but you just like how they dress and you like how they put their outfits together. Strictly internet people. It's completely normal for these kinds of people to watch your story out of curiosity because they don't even know you like that. There's no expectation, there's no history, there's no relationship to feel unclear about. The curiosity only gets a little weird when it's someone that you've known recently in real life or had an established relationship with, and they choose to stop having an offline relationship with you. Maybe they ghosted you or things just got awkward, but somehow they never miss a single update that you post. That's the difference. And I know people love to say, oh, this is a very chronically online thing to be worried about. Why would you even care? But it actually teaches us a lot about our own relational skills and limits. And it teaches us a lot about the behaviors of other people around us and what they value. Now, I want to be very clear. Even though this can feel strange, I don't think this behavior is always malicious or evil. I mean, half the time it's probably not even conscious. And I definitely don't think it always means jealousy or that they're preying on your downfall. And I will also affirm that yes, some people are haters. Some people are really drinking that haterade, sister. But most of the time, more often than not, I think it's people wanting light access to you without the responsibility of maintaining a real relationship. Social media didn't create this dynamic, it just magnified it. Personally, genuine proximity means a lot to me. I'm really not someone who checks up on people I don't have a clean, meaningful history with, or people who aren't present in my life. If we used to be cool 2 years ago, and it's been 6 months since I texted you and you haven't texted me back, I genuinely don't care what you have going on. I don't care what you're doing. And I mean that with love and respect. Maybe it's object permanence, but I'm not watching your stories. I'm not going out of my way to like your photos. I'm not going out of my way to even find your photos. I'm not scrolling your TikTok. I'm not typing in your username and going to your TikTok page. You won't see me in your profile views. And on the flip, I also don't care enough to type up your name and go unfollow you or like hard block you, because in reality, I'm actually pretty open to rekindling a real relationship under proper participation. I might leave the door unlocked, but I'm not standing in the doorway, sister. And I feel like that helps me keep relationships unambiguous without performing like I'm emotionally activated when I'm not. If we don't talk, hang out, check in with each other, follow up with each other, or show up in each other's lives in any meaningful way, I really don't know you like that. At least not anymore. And it doesn't mean I'm angry. It doesn't even have to mean that I don't like you. I just prefer my relationships online and offline to be honest. And sometimes I notice certain online behaviors can blur those lines. Here is an example that really clarified this for me. There was somebody who followed me online for years. I mean, she's been following me since like way back in the day, since Tumblr days. Yes, I was hopping and bopping on Tumblr, okay? I was a Tumblr girl. Like, literally, if you looked up one of my usernames on Pinterest right now, you would see like so many photos of me from Tumblr because people were like sharing my photos and doing all kind of stuff with my pictures. But that's beside the point. She always engaged with me lightly online. You know, I would always see her in my story views. I would always, like get likes from her, stuff like that. And it was cool because she was literally a stranger to me. You know, you think nothing about it. Eventually, she ended up moving to my area and she DM'd me. She's like, oh, well, I moved to the area. I would really love for us to link up in person. I followed you for years. I think you're pretty cool. Let's link up. And I was like, okay, but deep down, I was hesitant. I was a little hesitant inside at first because at the time I had a lot going on in my life, and I really didn't even have the energy to like make a new friend, which is actually rare for me. But I made space anyway and I linked up with her anyway. So we hang out a couple of times and everything seems great. Everything seems to, flow well for me. It seemed normal for me. Now I think on the third or fourth attempt at a hangout, her schedule got busy or something got mixed up, and I was just like, no problem, just hit me up when you're free and we'll make something shake, right? But she never did. She never hit me up again. She never hit my phone again. I don't know if she realized that she really didn't vibe with me like that in person, or, I'll never know. I'll never know the truth. She could have had anything going on, but she continued engaging with me online, watching my stories, liking my stories, things like that. And I'm like, you need to leave. Because offline, in real life, the relationship ended really awkwardly, but the online access stayed strong. What's going on, sister? What's going on? What does this mean? That incongruence feels uncomfortable. When people make a decision but don't take ownership of the distance that decision creates, If you're on the receiving end, if you're the one feeling like you're being monitored or watched, that can rub you the wrong way. And like I said, people watching my stories in general isn't the problem. The issue is the difference between neutral territory, natural distance, and weird, unclear, incongruent distance. Your friend Katie from second grade watching your story, neutral, makes sense. Okay. Someone you had a real relationship with, choosing to not be in your life anymore, but still maintaining proximity,
You stupid.
that's different. Now, some people are fine with unresolved or unclear distance, but some of us aren't, and both can be valid. I've seen this show up in other ways too. People who say that we should hang out, oh my god, we should do this, this, and this together, we should do that, and never follow up, but still watch everything you're posting. People who don't acknowledge you during important moments and milestones, but stay watching. People who make sure they stay aware of your life. They maintain awareness of what's going on with you without actually being in your life. That's the pattern, and that's why people online making TikToks start hooting and hollering about everybody who's watching me is a hater. Because that's how it feels. And even if somebody is on autopilot, just like scrolling through everybody's story and stuff like that, because I know y'all love to use that as an excuse, right? That doesn't mean it doesn't have impact. And the person on the receiving end of that, the person feeling an energy from that, has every right, and they're allowed to question the level of access they allow others. Because really, it's not so much about reading into the action of the perceived monitoring spirit, right? It's about being able to read into your own discomfort with honesty. So, when people are talking about monitoring spirit, it can sound a little bit paranoid sometimes, but I think the discomfort can often come from unresolved and unclear access. Not everybody watching you is wishing bad on you, but some people do want to feel close and feel like they have a certain level of intel without actually choosing closeness. And for some of us, that feels energetically off. When I notice people attempting passive proximity to me, it doesn't always bother me, but only on a case by case basis. Okay, like depending on what happened between us and what the dynamic is, right? I don't confront them. I never do a confrontation type deal. And I don't block them either because I feel like blocking just sends a more aggressive message and it's not reflective of how I actually feel. You can block whoever you want to block though, by all means. I also don't go around accusing people of being a monitoring spirit either. I just align access with reality. If we're not in each other's lives, you don't need ongoing constant visibility into my life. So I might do something like hide my story from them or do like a soft block or something. And I also don't check on them online or energetically. Anyone who genuinely wants to reconnect with me can text me, can call me, we can go grab coffee. Because these are almost always people who already have my number. The lesson I'm learning is this: proximity is a form of access, and access should match the relationship. Not everyone who watches you is against you, but not everyone who watches you needs full access to you either. When friendships get weird, fall off, get awkward, or you get ghosted, you may not hate that person. You could even still like them. And that's where the trap is, I think, because you don't want to be mean and, like call them out, but you also don't want someone lurking if they're actively choosing to not be a part of your life. I prefer clean endings and clear boundaries. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Experiencing people who don't prefer that does trigger me a little. But the freedom is in accepting that. My question for you is, who currently has access to you emotionally, digitally, energetically? And does that access actually make sense for you? Do you really think that girl is a monitoring spirit? Or are you just confused by her behavior? If you're confused, You have agency, and it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to accuse anyone of anything, and you don't gotta make a TikTok hooting and hollering about it either. Not unless you really, really want to. But you're allowed to choose clarity over strange ambiguity, even if other people want to lurk and lurk forever. Even when people say you're reading too much into it, you're still valid. When you become intentional about access, people may talk, okay? They may create narratives, but that's not your problem. And monitoring spirits only have as much power as you give them. Well, that's all I have for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, stay gorgeous, and I will see you in the next one. That's why they should never say never.